Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my September mid-month wrap-up. I've read some good books so far. I've only read about 10, which actually is pretty typical for me. So without further ado, let's just talk about the books. Okay, so the first book that I read was Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. This is a nonfiction book that sort of walks through Dolly Alderton's 20s. It starts when she's 20 and goes until she's 30. And I don't typically rate memoirs, so I won't give this one a rating just because it feels weird to rate somebody's life. It feels weird to rate a book about someone's life. But I did like it. It had a good overall message. I think my only thing with this book was that I just did not relate to Dolly at all. Did not have the same life experiences as her, and there's so many things that I'm just like, why are you being so dumb? But I guess that's part of being in your 20s. So I did genuinely like it, but I didn't love it at all. If you're in your 20s still, I would definitely recommend picking it up. It has a really strong theme of friendship in it, which I really liked. So if you're looking for something like that, definitely pick this one up. Then I read Letters to Molly by Daphne Perry. This is the second book in the Mason Jar series. This one follows Finn and Molly, and they are divorced. This is sort of like a marriage in trouble, but they have been divorced for 8 years. And basically, Finn had been writing these letters to Molly throughout their marriage that he never sent her, because on their first date they talked about how much she loves handwritten letters and how much she wishes technology and stuff would go back to that love language of just writing letters. So he wrote things out, and sometimes they're really horrible, and then sometimes they're really sweet, and someone anonymously finds them and is sending them to Molly. And so the letters are sort of bringing them back together. It's a really cute second chance book. I was crying so much in this. I loved it. It's just, my heart was freaking broken for them. I think I liked this one a little bit more than the first book in this series, but not as much as I've liked other Daphne Perry books, so I gave this one 4.5 stars. Then I read Daisy Hates and the Great Undoing, which is the second Daisy Hates book and the fourth book in the Magnolia Parks universe by Jess Hastings. I love Daisy and Christian so much. They are top tier couple to me. I so prefer them over BJ and Magnolia. I don't think that's a popular opinion, but for me, they just I love their stories so much. And I also did really like to get Julian's point of view from the third book, because I really like Julian. I kind of wish that Magnolia wasn't just so in love with BJ, because I thought they made a really good couple, and I just really like Julian. I really hope he gets a happily ever after in maybe another book. The next Daisy Hates book hasn't even been announced, so I don't even know how I'm going to wait until the next book, because one thing about these books is that they always leave you on the craziest cliffhangers. The last 2 books, the cliffhangers have been nuts. And that cliffhanger honestly kind of ruined the book a little bit for me, because the reason why I love romance books so much is because everything wraps up at the end and you know there's always going to be a happily ever after. And I just should not have started an unfinished series. I think that's the conclusion to this, but I did still really like it, really love it. I gave it 4.5 stars. Then I read Wild in Love by Eloisa James, the first book in the Wilds of Lindo Castle series. This is a historical fiction, and this book was just kind of boring to me. I felt like not much happened, and I liked the love story, and that's about it. Everything else about the cast and the characters and everything like that was just very random to me, but I did really like the love story. I thought it was super cute, and just how he was bringing food for her pet and everything like that. I thought that was super cute, but I didn't love it. It was okay. There was nothing bad about it really, but I just didn't care for a lot of it, so I gave it 2.5 stars. Then I read The Naked Fisherman by Julianne, which is the first book in the Fisherman duet, and I love this. Oh my gosh, this is so good. This is classic Julianne, where it's very angsty. It follows Fisher Man, that's his name, Fisher, and last name Man, so that's where the title comes from. So this is an age gap romance between Reese and Fisher, and basically Reese had a really hard time growing up. First, when her mom went to jail, and then her dad passed away. So she ended up spending a lot of her formative years being raised by her very religious, very strict grandparents. And so she has this very closed mindset when she goes off and goes and meets up with her mom, who just got out of prison, in order to finally get to know her a bit more. This is when she is 18 and out of school. She wants to take a gap year between high school and college because she doesn't really know what she wants to do. Anyways, she's spending time with her mom, but when she gets in, her mom's living in the basement of Fisher's house. Her mom's a hairdresser, and she gets this opportunity to go down to LA and get trained by these really high professionals who like celebrities' hair and stuff like that. So she leaves her daughter after only being there a week with Fisher, and Fisher takes Reese and does like gets her to work for him and everything. So it's quite a forbidden romance because there is a 10-year age gap, and she is very closed off and inexperienced. So there's just this like whirlwind romance between them while the mom's away, and it's so angsty. The only thing I didn't love about this book is that Reese did act quite immature. I honestly, like, it really just stopped bothering me as much because, I don't know, their chemistry was just really there. So I give it 4.5 stars. The next book that I read was The Clover Chapel by Devney Perry. This is the second book in the Jameson Valley series. This one follows Nick and Emmy, who end up drunk in Vegas one night and have this like instant connection and end up getting married at the Clover Chapel, which is also in Jasper Vale, which I really love because I love that there's a little crossover between Devney Perry's books. Emmy wakes up the next day to find Nick gone with a note in his ring that says sorry, and that's it. And so she spends the next couple of years trying to track him down but can't find him anywhere, and till she decides to move to this small town in Montana, and lo and behold, runs into Nick, which, what are the odds in this really small town? So it's sort of about them reconnecting and trying to understand each other, what happened over those years that they were not together. I really liked everything about this book. There wasn't anything that stood out as that I didn't like about it, but it just also didn't drag me in at all. Like, there was nothing also that like hooked me about this book. I don't know, this just isn't one of my favorite Devney Perry books, but I did like it, so I gave it 3.75 stars. Then I read Sweet Little Lies by Jill Shalvis. This is the first book in the Heartbreak Bay series. This is my first book by Jill Shalvis. I know that she's a fairly popular romance author, and I liked it. It has all the classic like small town elements that you'd expect, like the very quirky cast of characters who are all like just not minding their own business between two people. It had everything you would expect. Like, there's a crazy pet, I don't know. It just felt very predictable to me. I don't know how to explain the premise of this one without giving too much away. It had everything that you'd expect, so I liked it, but there was nothing really special about it in my opinion, so I gave it 3 stars. The next book I read was The Lost Fisherman, which is the second book in the Fisherman Duet by Julianne, and I'm not going to explain what happens in this book because it will give away the ending of the first book, but this one is really good. It's just, I think it was a little disappointing. I was expecting a little more angst maybe at the ending. I just felt like everything happened a little too smoothly. Like, there wasn't really any consequences to stuff that happened. So I mean, I did still really like it. I enjoyed my entire experience reading it, but I just wanted the ending to be like a little bit more. So I gave it 4.25 stars. Then I read Culti by Mariana Zapata, and I loved this book. If you don't already know what Culti is about, basically it follows a soccer player named Sal, and she plays for a professional women's soccer team, and it follows her and her relationship with her coach, who is this really world famous soccer player who recently retired and is looking into who started coaching. And I really liked this one, but I think I was way more invested in the story of Sal and like her story with the women's team. I thought it was such an amazing story about how like there's so many amazing points about women's sports in it, and I just like really thought it was amazingly well done and made some really good points while still being a really fun read. But I wasn't super invested in the romance, if I'm honest. It really did just give Friends vibes until the very, very end, which is very much like Mariana Zapata's thing, is like slow burn. But I didn't think there was any like build up and tension. It was just Friends vibes, not like relationship vibes at all. So I did really like it, but it's not my favorite Mariana Zapata book, so I gave it 4 stars. And last but not least, I read Heartstopper Volume 2, and these characters are just so stinking cute. There's not anything really bad I could ever say about any of these books, because like I don't know how anyone could honestly not like these. They're just so cute and so wholesome. It's so cute. That's like the best adjective I can come up to describe this one. For some reason, this one I didn't love as much as I remember loving the first one, and maybe that's just like my notions going into it. I still loved it, it's just I remember loving the first one more, so I gave this one 4.5 stars. And those are all the books that I've read so far this month. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comments down below what is one book that you've finished and what you've loved this month. Subscribe if you're not already, and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps support my channel, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.